welcome to Market Matters. I'm Wei Lynn Tang, joined today by Charlotte, Chong and Nadia Hassan. So guys, today the market is up just 1.3 points today. Yesterday it was up just 3 points marginal if you compare to last week's gains. Now we have some data from China. It's a bit mixed in terms of the trade data.
Correct. And we actually see some KLCI up slightly today because of what happened yesterday. Crude oil prices actually dropped 5% after OPEC came out and said that they will actually continue to boost production in the region. That's why KLCI dropped up slightly today. And Chinese imports actually plunged 20% in September. That's why we saw a sea of red in the ASEAN region.
Right, but let's get to Nadia, who has more.
Thanks a lot for that. But do you notice that actually, I think this is the first time we've had all girls on the panel.
I know.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice not to have to deal with the boys. But anyway, that aside,
the men, Nadia.
All the men,
okay.
yes, exactly. So actually, after yesterday's down day, we did see a little pickup, and it was all green, up 0.07% to 1,711.114 points. It's a short week for us, of course, because tomorrow we are on holiday.
Yay.
So yes, I share your yay inside. So I think a lot of people are buying up just before we go on a break, because when you come back, you don't know what's going to happen. New toll rates are going to come in on Thursday, which I think panics a lot of us. We clearly, though, bucked the trend because, as Charlotte was saying, Singapore was down. But I have a feeling that's because the Monetary Authority of Singapore is actually meeting tomorrow to decide whether or not they want to actually boost the monetary policy, because the country is in what they call a technical recession. So I think people are actually panicking because you haven't seen this since 1997. Back home, but funnily enough, you talked about China, which influenced a lot of us. But the China composite market, as you can see in the chart that we pulled up, actually went up. You know, it actually went up to quite a bit.
I think, Nadia, today there were announcements that China's central bank yesterday announced that it's going to expand on some easing program to boost bank lending.
Yeah, I know.
Perhaps
So yeah, exactly. So like you said, it sort of counterbalances, right? The Shanghai Composite was actually up 0.17% to 3,293 and some change. But you know, Nikkei was actually down, was down 1.11% to 18,234. So the story is very mixed. When you actually see the bad numbers, you panic. Everybody panics. But China itself says we're going to come up with measures to ease with it. So we all have to see how that actually finds out. Just before I finish up, things that are happening in the world that I'm interested in, Saab, Miller, and Anheuser-Busch, InBev are actually going to maybe a mega brew. That's going to be big. I think when you have big corporate deals going on, that's just good for everybody. But back to you guys.
Thank you, Nadia, for that. Now let's move on to our hot stock of the day. For today, we have Borneo Oil Bhd. So this stock actually rose 30% or 4.5 cent to close at 19.5 cent with some volume of 48.5 million shares. So this company, Charlotte, I think it's got some business in oil, gas and energy, but also it runs a chain of fast food restaurants. And apparently the H markets quoted a remise here saying that the rights issue actually was impacting the share price as actually investors rushed to purchase the shares.
Basically, they are going to raise about 223.29 million ringgit to expand its gold mining in Peninsular Malaysia. And they're going to have this rights issue of up to 2.37 billion new shares, basis on 6 rights shares for 1 existing Borneo share.
And now, these rights shares will actually commence trading on October 19, which is next Monday. Yeah, but I mean, basically, because besides into gold mining, right, they also have pizza outlets, 15 pizza outlets in Sabah and Sarawak.
I'm quite optimistic with this company because I believe in companies that involve in F&B businesses. And this company actually secured a master licensee last year from Singapore in November last year, like what you say. And they're targeted to open about 15 pizza outlets in Sabah and Sarawak by the end of this year. And ED Executive Director Raymond Teo says that total setup cost per kiosk is about 200,000, which is easier to attract investors to come into this business.
Well, that aside, I think they also run or own sugar buns outlets in Malaysia and overseas. Have you heard of sugar buns outlets, Charlotte?
I haven't, but my friend has been to that restaurant and they say it's nice.
Are they actually present in Klang Valley though?
I don't think so. I don't think so. They have about 76 outlets in Malaysia, 10 overseas, and most of them are in primary and secondary towns in Sarawak. I hope they will come here so we can try it out, many different things.
Right, but I guess back to what you mentioned about F&B being resilient, if you look at the second quarter results, right, net profit actually rose 18.4%. First half net profit rose 304%. And the company actually cited that the performance, this is actually due, contributed by the fast food division, which actually continued to perform consistently. So I think consistent is a key word right here.
Like what you say just now, sugar buns actually saw total sales rose to 91 million ringgit in FY15 as compared with FY14, 86 million ringgit. And Teo, the ED, actually says that the company can hit 100 million when all these 15 outlets, Pezzo Pizza, come online by the end of this year.
So F&B aside though, Charlotte, because back to the rights issue, they are actually looking to aim to be a proxy for Malaysia's gold mining industry. I think in September there were news, right? They have signed exclusive PSAs, which are actually production sharing agreements to carry out mining works at 5 sites in actually Pahang. But just to take it all away, shares of Borneo Oil today rose about 30% or 4.5 cent. Friends is said to be because of the notice of rights entitlement announced last Wednesday. Latest numbers of the company look not bad. For those in Sabah and Sarawak, you can actually look forward to 15 peso pizza outlets being opened by year end. And also news of Borneo Oil aiming to be a proxy for Malaysia's gold mining industry. Now moving on to our to stocks with momentum, we have 2 today in our radar. So firstly, we have solid Automotive Bhd. It's flagged with positive momentum, and this is actually despite the stock has actually run up almost doubled, 107% in the last 1 year. So Charlotte, this company, Solid Automotive, what it does, it actually trades automotive parts and components, but it also remanufactures automotive alternators and starters for the replacement
what do
market.
you think about this company? Because MAA, Malaysia Automotive Association, actually came out and said that they will revise the target downwards to 670,000 this year from 680,000, and car sales actually dropped on the back of implementation of goods and services in April this year. What do you think about this company? Do you think they will see impact from car sales?
For Solid Automotive, I think because based on the first quarter, if you look at how the breakdown of the revenue, they do have local sales accounted for about 59%, exports about 41%. So besides local sales, they have the exports to sort of help them. But yeah, you're right. Actually, TIV the volume in the Malaysia's car industry will be tough, but because they are in the replacement market, so I mean, when you don't buy new cars, if you want to say buy an old car and just replace it with new parts, you probably go to players like them.
I also noticed that they had a slew of fundraising exercise for the past few months. Like in June, they have just completed a private placement and they raised about 21.15 million from the private placement. And out of this 21.15 million, about 10.65 million they are going to set aside for working capital. And out of these 10.65 million, 4 million they are going to buy inventories for new warehouses and offices in Amari Business Park and Batu Caves.
So they're expanding because they're buying more inventories, and you wouldn't normally buy if you're not quite confident of actually selling.
So this company is actually quite.
But one thing to note though, first quarter ended July, net profit was down 35%. I think margin has been squeezed right here because they did say that higher OPEX. Well, they did have some forex gains to offset it, but you still see profits actually going down. But okay, let's move on to our next stocks with momentum. We have Malaysian Resources Corp Bhd, or MRCB. On our radar, it's actually flagged with negative momentum. And I think this is because if you look at it in the last 1 month or two, since they actually got the announcement that they won the JV with George Ken for the project delivery partner for the LRT project, shares were actually up more than 20% since then. And maybe that's why it's flagged with negative momentum.
Actually,
Charlotte.
that's quite interesting news because after they got this project delivery partner from the authority, Putrajaya has been urged to reconsider the deal because George Ken actually had they didn't actually have a good reputation when they built Ampang line extension. So let's see. I am not sure if Putrajaya is going to reconsider this deal or are they going to give it to other people like UEM because the tender was at about 9.88 billion. And MRCB actually tendered a price of 11.5 billion, which is much higher than 9 billion.
So the price, so you're questioning why you're giving it to the party who's actually tendering at higher price. But I think MRCB as a whole, they did have a slew of announcements as well in terms of getting contracts, in terms of the construction division as well as property division. So now quickly, I actually look at the RHB report dated in September. So they actually said that earnings quality should actually start to improve next year, as actually many of these low margin construction jobs should be finished by this year. Charlotte. But I think we were reading just now, back in July, there was some news that MRCB is tipped to refurbish the sports facilities in Bukit Jalil.
So basically, Star newspaper came out in an article in July and said that MRCB tipped to refurbish sports facilities in NSC in Bukit Jalil, including the 17-year-old Bukit Jalil Stadium. And this was cost up to about 1 billion, and in return, MRCB would get a parcel of land in that vicinity. Now I understand that actually a lot of developers have been eyeing tracks in that area and they are unable to do so. So I think this actually bodes well with the development in that area.
They do have the track record of getting some good deals actually for MRCB. But just to quickly wrap up, for 2 stocks with momentum, first is actually Solid Automotive Bhd. It's actually flagged with positive momentum. Actually, this is despite actually shares actually doubled in the past 1 year. MRCB, meanwhile, is actually flagged with negative momentum. Shares have been up over 20% since news of them getting the PDP role for LR3 together with George Ken.